This conference will now be recorded.
All right, so today is Thursday, May 30th. We have 2 days left of trading in May. And one other thing, remember, Trader of the Month has been going on. So we basically, you guys have 2 days left to try to make yourself the Trader of the Month. The winner is going to receive a free round of classes for our next round of classes. So I will talk about that obviously on not on Monday. Remember, I'm not sure if everyone realizes my birthday is on Sunday. I always take a day off for my birthday. So I will be taking off on Monday. So we will go over Trader of the Month on Tuesday. All right, so let's talk about what we got going on this morning. As always, everything that we're going to be talking about is for educational purposes only, and nothing is intended as any type of investment advice, and we just really don't have much. It's pretty much a typical Thursday going on out there. So first thing we're going to be looking at is BYND. Now, first of all, yesterday, we really just had a ton of buying that came into this thing. We finally broke over that 100 level, but it's one thing that we do have to remember is that holding over 100 is going to be a very hard thing, especially the fact that we've had a bunch of buying that came into this thing that it has not pulled back from yet. So this morning, really not that many great prints at all out there. Pretty much 90% of the bigger prints that we've seen in BYND today has been buying, though. So we do want to keep that in mind, but just remember, it's going to be a hard thing. First of all, we came up to this 105 level, kind of gave us a little bit of a false breakout and started pulling back underneath. And then from yesterday, if you remember going into that close, we had buying at 96, at 98, pretty much all the way up, until the end of the market that it just never really gave that pullback from. So it's a little bit all over the place. I mean, overall, don't get me wrong, it's complete buying, and based off the range that we usually have in this thing, I would expect it, to get a lot higher than that 105 level. But overall, we definitely need to see a pullback. So keep that in mind going into the beginning of the market. The only other thing that I have is OBLN, and it's on my side list. And the only reason it's on my side, well, the only reason it's really out there is number one, there's not really much of anything that's going on. But as we were coming into that 150, we have got a little, some decent bursts of buying. You can see right here that $1.44. I like what I see right here at 8.33, and then also $1.46. Somewhat decent, but we have got some really nice bursts of buying. And then obviously when we come to 8 o'clock, we see this constantly at that 8 o'clock mark. We get those Laker colors, which a lot going on around that $1.50 level. So it's been holding within this consolidation. There's really nothing definitive yet that I see, especially with these cheaper stocks. I know, those bigger bursts are great and all, but we really need to see that volume pick up, and we just have not seen that yet. So as long as we hold above this $1.25, we still have the variables for us to be able to break out over our highs, pretty much about that $1.60 level. And then other than that, like I said, I'm not really seeing much out there. I mean, usually OBLN wouldn't even be on our side list, but the fact, we definitely need things to watch once we go out there this morning. So let's take a look at our scanners. Let's see if we have anything new that has popped up out there. And for some reason, our scanners are taking a little while. So my trade station has been a little bit slow. I'm probably going to restart once we're finished with our meeting. I don't know if it's been across the board. But so we have OBLN, which we've already spoken about. We have EXPR. So this is it's got good volume, but it is an extremely quantity stock. On average, it trades 20 cents within its range. And then you can see this morning, even though it's got 102,000 shares, it's on some bigger prints, and there's just nothing really going out there trading wise. And then we have SESN, 144,000 shares, but another one just way too quantity for us to be looking at going into the beginning of the market. Then we jump over to our losers. It's another one where we have a very small list. We have Jill, Jill, which took a pretty substantial hit, especially for the size of the stock. Closed at 361. We're already at $1.70, but you can see there's just no real trading that's going on in it. One thing that is very interesting, though, is that you can short it. So I am going to be putting it on our list because we're going to be able to figure out something to do with it. My biggest problem, though, is that the prints are just very, very mixed. Just nothing really there. We did have some substantial covering coming into that 2 level, but if you take a look over there, we've had some selling that came in as well. But overall, the biggest prints that we've seen so far on the bigger side of things, the greater than 1,000, have been the ask prints at that 2 level. So it looks like we're pretty much taking a little bit of a hit. It's got a chance, but once again, it's going to be on our side list just because based off the trend that we have there, that's really not enough to tell us that we're going to be coming back towards that upside. APTO, just really not not much there at all. This, this big volume that we've been seeing coming in is really based off these bigger prints, 28,000. We have 10,000 sitting there, and some bigger bursts, but again, just not really anything that's definitive. For the cheaper stock like this, I don't see anything within those prints that really tells us that this thing's going to be able to break out. I would put it on our side list, but once again, 11 cents on average. I just don't really see it moving much. It's going to move more than average than it usually does, but I don't see much there. ELTK, great move yesterday, but it's kind of dying out. In most of these times, these cheaper stocks, they have that 5 minutes of fame, and then it really doesn't get much more movement. And based off the prints that we have this morning, I would love to say it would just be taking a guess. There's just nothing really this morning that shows us that it's going to be able to do anything. Solely another one that had a great move coming into yesterday. We ended up, it took a more of a hit. Remember that 20 level where we had that selling, it came underneath. We're sitting at that 18. But again, look at our prints. Look at the bigger prints that are going on out there. There's pretty much no trading that's going on this morning and no real definitive show of hand whatsoever. So nothing there either. PVH, 102,000 shares. Now, this isn't bad because on average, it trades $2.66. It only has 109,000 shares. So the biggest concern that we're going to have is the fact that once the market opens, it's not really going to do much trading. Even on its bigger volume days, you could see even yesterday, only 2.5 million shares. So I am going to put this on our list. But remember, my biggest concern coming into the morning is the fact that it doesn't really get anything for us to be able to trade. And then also, that's just based off of the possibilities that it has to really make any type of move. As of right now, what it's showing, there's just no prints out there giving us any real game plan and that show of hand. What about AMD? So AMD, I'm just not a big fan of. AMD is one of the hardest stocks out there you're going to be looking to trade because of the fact that it trades a huge amount of volume. So the prints are always going to look extremely, extremely mixed. So it's going to take a lot of field to be able to do anything with that. Now, based off the pattern that we have going on there and based off the field, does it have the opportunity to get up to that 30 level? It obviously does, but there's just not much, not anything to really show us. So, I could pretty much point out any everyday stock every single day and say that it's going to do something, but there's just nothing there to give us that idea of what it's going to do. So we're going to wait till the market, gets closer to the open and wait for some type of definitive show of hand before we just start calling out everyday stocks. AMD is a level 10. Yeah, when you're reading the prints on a stock that trades on average 77 million shares, okay, when you come up to, let's say, the 29 level, you're going to get asked, you're going to get bid, you're going to get asked, you're going to get bid. So it's just a very, very hard stock for somebody that's not really seasoned to be able to analyze. All right, now anything else out there that I missed? Anything else out there? I would love for the answer to be yes, but it's not going to be. I was searching high and low this morning just for something that gave us that show of hand. It's just not there. Remember, Thursdays are usually a lot harder than most days just because it kind of takes a little while for things to, to really kick in. And that's all we need. I know Derek asked a great question yesterday, and we'll talk about it a little bit in Traders Exchange today. But he asked, if this is one of the hardest trading times. And the answer is no, it really isn't. It's just the patience level that it takes to really sit there and be able to wait and to be able to, to just find that definitive show of hand. Right now, we don't have one yet this morning. So there's really, going to this morning, we don't have a game plan. When we did our last round of classes, when we started at 9:15, okay, we had our prints. We knew exactly what our expectations were, and we could make moves from there. Right now, it just hasn't came out yet. So we're going to wait for that. As we get closer to the open, we'll certainly find one. It's just that patience, okay? Make sure you don't try to jump on movement and get caught in that retail trap. We need to wait for those prints to come out there. All right, guys. So I will remember Traders Exchange at 12:30. I will talk to everyone in the chat, and happy trading.